Good evening to everyone. Tonight will be the last lesson of the year. We'll be starting again on January. So Too Much Heaven, this series will kind of end off tonight. So we're continuing with where we left off last week. Okay, yep. So this is the one we talk about the different types of this perception. Yeah? So they perceive yellow. Before that, when they talk about perceiving internally, externally, whether is it pleasant over the unpleasant, or unpleasant over the pleasant, or pleasant over the unpleasant, and all this combination to overcome the various arising of greed or anger. So now this is using colors or the kasinas to replace the perception of what you're seeing or hearing and stuff like that. So it's more seeing is color. So we covered this already. So next slide. So this one talks about red. Yeah, not perceiving form internally. Someone sees forms externally. Red with red color and red appearance. They're like a scarlet mallow flower that's red with red color and red appearance. Or a cloth from Varanasi that's smooth on both sides, red with red color and red appearance. In the same way, not perceiving form internally, someone sees forms externally, red from red color and red appearance. Mastering them, they perceive, I know and see. This is the seventh dimension of mastery. Okay, so we'll move on to the last one. And we see there's some repetition between the previous set, the 10 universal dimensions, and these 8 types of perceptions. So there's some similarities. So they talk about the 10 kasinas, also talk about colors. So these 8 perceptions also talk about colors. Not perceiving form internally, someone sees forms externally, white. So it's repetition. The whole thing is white. So this is using perception of white instead of the other colors. Okay, next. The best of these dimensions of mastery is when someone not perceiving form internally sees forms externally white. So out of the 8 perceptions, down here they mention white is the best perception. White color and white appearance. Mastering them, they perceive, I know and see. Some sentient beings perceive like this, but even the sentient beings who perceive like this decay and perish. Right? So if a person just use this kind of perception to replace another and there's no insight, it's just wholly fixated, and if there's clinging, then it doesn't lead to liberation. Seeing this, a learned noble disciple grows this illusion with it. Their desire fades away even for the foremost, let alone the inferior. So this particular paragraph, the last paragraph here, is more like a stock formula, more like a chorus in the song, and they keep repeating over and over again. Okay, next. Okay, so after the 8, then we have another 4. These are 4 sets. There are 4 ways of practice. What 4? So the first one, painful practice is slow insight. Second one, painful practice with swift insight. Third one, pleasant practice with slow insight. And the fourth one, pleasant practice with swift insight. So out of the 4, which one you prefer? Who prefers number 1? Painful practice is slow insight. Nobody.
The last one, of course.
Last one, okay, so everybody kind of agree. Pleasant practice is swift insight. So these 4 cases can be found in one of the Asubha Suttas, where the Buddha is actually comparing the Asubha meditation, which is the impurities of the body meditation, visualizing the human biology and anatomy, as the painful practice. Whereas those people who practice jhanas are considered a pleasant practice. Yeah, so that's the comparison. So for the painful practice, which is the Asubha practice, the person can have slow or fast insight, depends on their faculties, 5 faculties. So these are the faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, these 5 faculties. So if their faculties are weak, then they have slow insight. Like some people, instead of wanting to practice detachment and see impermanence, then they stare a lot, they stare and they visualize the bone and visualize, then they may not have so much wisdom. They only interested in maybe psychic power. They want to have divine eye. Some people practice Asubha, then they claim they can have X-ray vision and look at people and then check for your cancer, what kind of illness or tumor you have. So they have all this kind of interest instead of practicing detachment. So some people have slow insight because they're pursuing other stuff. Then some people have swift insight. Painful practice is swift insight. So the best case study would be this Venerable Sivali. So Arahant Sivali, he got enlightened just by shaving his hair. So Venerable Sariputta shaved the hair for this Sivali right before the ordination. So it's before ordination. He haven't become a monk yet, haven't dressed his robe. He's just shaving the head. And Venerable Sariputta asked this Sivali to reflect on the impermanence of the hair. And after shaving the head, he got enlightened. Right? So this is, although it's painful practice, it's swift insight. So this is the 2 cases. And we have the last 2. Pleasant practice is slow insight, and pleasant practice is swift insight. So that's covered in the past few lessons when we talk about a person practicing the different kind of jhanas, although it's a pleasant emotion. Fast or slow depends whether they still want to pursue the Noble Eightfold Path. So if they kind of like stuck and enjoy in that state and forget the right effort, they forget to contemplate, then they use up all the karma and go to hell even, right? Go to the lower realms. So that is the, or rather no insight, Pleasant practice, no insight. So slow insight would be, take your time. And of course, those with swift insight, they practice with urgency. So these are the 4 practices. Okay, next slide. The best of these 4 ways of practice is the pleasant practice with swift insight. Some sentient beings practice like this, but even the sentient beings who practice like this decay and perish. So you see, this is the issue with oral tradition. Even though we talk about the practice of swift insight, that means a person can gain liberation, you see them still adding this stock formula. So the compilers and editors throughout the centuries, they kind of like repeat the stock formula without really reading the content. And it's more like reciting. Seeing this learned noble disciple grows disillusioned with it, their desire fades away even for the foremost, let alone the inferior. Okay, next. So the next set talks about formless concentration. There are these 4 perceptions. What for? One perceives, one person perceives the limited. One person perceives the expansive. So if a person perceives limited or expansive, may not enter any concentrative states here. So it's got to do with your spatial awareness. Then the third one perceives the limitless. So this limitless starts to talk about the formless concentration, the perception of infinite space and the perception of infinite consciousness. Then the 4th one, One person aware that there is nothing at all perceives the dimension of nothingness. So that's the seventh level of concentration, or the third formless concentration. So this nothingness is not to be confused with emptiness. So this nothingness is formless concentration, is a formless jhana, is not kind of detachment or wisdom or insight. These are the four perceptions. Okay, next. The best of these four perceptions is when a person aware that there is nothing at all perceives the dimension of nothingness. Some sentient beings perceive like this, but even the sentient beings who perceive like this decay and perish. Seeing this, a learned noble disciple grows this illusion with it. Their desire fades away even for the foremost, let alone the inferior. So the four perceptions can be solely samatha, no vipassana at all, no insight at all. So this stock formula or this chorus would make sense. Okay, next. And again, a bit later, so they add on one more level of concentration. This is the best of the convictions of outsiders. That is, I might not be, and it might not be mine. I will not be, and it will not be mine. When someone has such a view, you can expect that they will not be attracted to continued existence, and they will not be repulsed by the cessation of continued existence. Some sentient beings have such a view, but even the sentient beings who have views like this decay and perish. Seeing this, a learned noble disciple grows this illusion with it. Their desire fades away even for the foremost, let alone the inferior. Okay, so this one is talking about the four kinds of beliefs. So the first one, I might not be, and it might not be mine. So you talk about, some people talk about non-self, right? So not mine. Some people say not mine, but if a person really haven't let go, then it's just a view. And the second opinion, I will not be, and it will not be mine. Yeah, so there's a difference. One is might, that you believe only. Then the other is the second one is strong conviction. I will. One is might, and the other is will. Okay, so these are the different views. So just by believing about non-self or not self, not good enough, or just by theory, you're so convinced, there's not self, is not good enough. Okay, next. Okay, so this is the add-on to the formless concentration. So they want to cover the final one. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who advocate the ultimate purity of spirit. This is the best of the advocates of the ultimate purity of spirit. That is, when someone going totally beyond the dimension of nothingness enters and remains in the dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. They teach Dhamma in order to directly know and realize this. Some sentient beings have such a doctrine, but even the sentient beings who have such a doctrine decay and perish. So this is the story, the Buddha's story, the life story of the Buddha. He talks about when he learned this concentration called the realm of nothingness from this teacher Alara Kalama. And he left this teacher and went to the next teacher, Udakaramaputa, that taught him this dimension of neither perception nor non-perception. So it's kind of relating to that event. Okay, so but that itself also subject to decay and perish, right? The teacher, this Udakaramaputa, the ascetic teacher, according to the Buddhist story, not yet enlightened. So after the Buddha got enlightened, he was invited to teach by Brahma Sampati. Yeah, so the first two candidates was actually these two ascetic teachers, this Alara Kalama and Udakaramaputa. but both of them already passed away. And we'll see, practice this asceticism for 6 years, and probably they're quite old. So 6 years they passed away and went up to these formless heavens. So a bit hard to kind of reach them. Okay, next. Seeing this, a learned noble disciple grows disillusioned with it. Their desire fades away even for the foremost, let alone the inferior. There are some ascetics and Brahmins who advocate ultimate extinguishment in this very life. This is the best of those who advocate extinguishment in this very life. That is liberation by not grasping and truly understanding the origin, ending, gratification, drawback, and escape of the 6 fields of contact. So basically, this is what the Buddha advocated by detachment and letting go. Okay, next. So even though he advocated the last point, because there are so many schools of thought, there are many kinds of disagreements with the other ascetics. Though I state and assert this, certain ascetics and Brahmins misrepresent me with the incorrect, hollow, false, untruthful claim. The ascetic Gautama doesn't advocate the complete understanding of sensual pleasures, forms, or feelings, but I do advocate the complete understanding of sensual pleasures, forms, and feelings, and I advocate full extinguishment by not grasping in this very life, wishless, quenched, and cool. Right, so this is the Buddhist stance on letting go of the sense pleasures of the 6 fields of contact. So the 6 fields of contact are your 6 sense bases. Your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So these are the 6 senses. Okay, so this is the end of the sharing. So we kind of ended early today because the last lesson today. So we have more time for interaction and Q&A. Anything you all want to discuss or share or ask questions? Okay, any other questions? If not, we go for a 5-minute break, then we come back for the guided sitting. Mute yourself, find the comfortable sitting posture. Make sure your back is upright and the rest of the body relaxed. Okay, so we are going to use some of the perceptions. We call this the unpleasant path, a bit of this visualization of the body. So we start off with all the hairs of the head, hairs of the body. And when we visualize them, and we talk about wisdom faculty, if you just visualize the hair alone, no Dhamma value. Any hairstylist also can visualize the hair. So what we're doing is, if we want to walk the middle path, we need the Noble Eightfold Path. We need to first wish the hairs well and happy. That's right thought to overcome aversion. Every time you finish the sentence, you finish wishing the hairs well and happy, then quickly move on to the next patch of hair, and then you need to wish it well and happy again. So the repetition is called right effort. Because if you stop generating the right thought only, you stop turning the Dhamma wheel, And you're basically turning the samsara wheel, and the mind will naturally cling onto other stray thoughts. Anything more exciting than just follow, create drama stories really. So the only thing we intentionally need to do is to wish the hairs well and happy. So that's why we call it mental training or mental cultivation. So the more we keep generating the right thought, wishing the hairs well and happy, what we're doing is actually reducing the aversion of the mind, the five aggregates. We are not training the hair. By wishing the hairs well and happy, the hair doesn't become more shinier or smoother. So the mind gets calmer, means we're on the right track. But if the more you meditate, the more anxiety, more stress, or the more you drift off, then that is the first two noble truths, clinging and suffering. So I emphasize on generating the right thought, the fourth noble truth. It should lead to the third noble truth, reduction of craving and stress. Okay, and if let's say you find the mind relatively calm, and you find that you cannot come down any further, then that will be your neutral baseline emotion. And because this practice doesn't lead to any jhana, so that's why there's nothing pleasant about it. So now we are going to add some insight, some wisdom. So if you want to have insight, some wisdom, we have to think of impermanence. So all these hairs go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. So you think of the hairs growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping this image, we keep on labeling rising and passing, or birth and death. So make sure the image synchronizes with your labeling. So the same formula, same ingredient, right effort, right thought. Once you stop labeling, rising and passing, and the mind will naturally cling to some other stray thoughts. Huh? And we can check this sense of self. Is it increasing or decreasing in intensity? Huh? This sense of selfishness. So a person can claim to believe in like non-self, but then it's about how much you really let go of this emotion of self. So the only way is through the middle path and the right reflections. You cannot just say, I don't want this self. Mm. And then we can ask ourselves, are these hairs truly self? Can we tell the hairs not to go through birth and death? And next we think of the nails, fingernails and toenails, and we wish them well and happy. We wish all the nails well and happy. Once we're done with that, we can now think of impermanence of the nails, fingernails and toenails. They go through birth, aging, sickness, and death. And then we redetach again. Huh? Keep on labeling, rising and passing. So we try to understand the process of attachment and detachment. And we can ask ourselves, are these nails truly self? Can we tell them not to go through birth and death? So the next part of the body, we can think of the teeth. We wish all the teeth inside the mouth well and happy. So the interesting thing is once we stop thinking of impermanence and this sense of self is a bit like the quick dry cement. You stop swirling on it and it will kind of solidify. But we don't think of impermanence first. We just wish the teeth well and happy. And all these teeth go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So you think of them growing and falling many, many cycles. And as we keep looping the image, we keep labeling rising and passing. And we can ask ourselves, are these teeth truly self? And we tell the teeth not to go through birth and death. And next we can think of the skin that surround the entire body. May they be well and happy. And every patch of skin, may they be well and happy. Okay, and we're now going to think of impermanence of all the skin. They go through birth, aging, sickness, and passing away. So we think of them growing and falling, many, many cycles. And as we keep looping the image, we can keep labeling, rising and passing. And we can ask ourselves, are the skin truly self? And we tell the skin not to go through birth and death. Okay, and moving forward, we are going to now um, feel the sensations of the body. We call this mindfulness of the four elements. So no need to visualize anymore, no imagination. So now from this point onwards, it's real-time evidence. Whatever sensation that appear, we are going to wish, may all may all beings be well and happy. So thinking of internally, one can actually have this limitless or expanded mind. Every time a new sensation appear, may all beings be well and happy. And the sensations are the earth, fire, wind, water sensations. Earth represents any hard or soft sensations. Fire is hot and cold. Wind is the fast, slow movements. And water is the moist or dry sensations. So we call this the universal kind of loving kindness, non-discrimination. All beings are made of the elements. We keep on wishing may all beings be well and happy. And if we keep on generating the right thought, all the conditions are there. One may trigger this right concentration. So usually this loving kindness may lead one to the first level of concentration denoted by some joy and happiness, which is very different from the insight. A bit more shallow, but a bit more consistent. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing all beings well and happy. Treat everything else as passing distraction. So the visualization we did earlier and the sensation of feeling now is still the same 5 aggregates. So we are not training the elements, we are not holding on to any object. Okay, next we add some insight, some wisdom. So we're going to now reflect on impermanence. So we synchronize with the sensation. Any sensation appear, you need to label rising and passing. So with a bit of increment in the concentration faculty, then the detachment process would seem a bit more intense. So how swift one can have the insight or detachment depends on the faculties, like concentration, wisdom, and so on. And regardless of what you experience, keep on labeling rising and passing. Okay, let's say the joy start to disappear. One may experience this neutral and refreshing kind of experience. So we call that equanimity, usually associated with the fourth level of concentration. And the same thing, keep on generating right thought, rising and passing. So all these concentrated states are impermanent. You stop generating the right thought only, then gone. Or once you switch to another object, also gone. Right now we're switching to the second sublime state, which is compassion. So now we're going to wish may all beings be free from suffering. Using the same non-discrimination approach, all beings are made of the four elements. We'll cling onto the elements and create suffering. So in order to not do that, we're going to generate right thought, keep on wishing, may all beings be free from suffering. New sensation appear, may all beings be free from suffering. Do not imagine anything, do not worry and dramatize how to help this person. Are they okay? Because once you start to over imagine, then that is creating a new samsara. And you're part of the character of the samsara, then all the ups and down dramas, and you face emotional turmoil and suffering. So to prevent that, we're going to keep on generating right thought. May all beings be free from suffering. And the more you generate the right thought, if all the conditions are right, and one may trigger the right concentration. So if your compassion can feel some joy in it, and that would be the indicator, usually the second level of concentration. And regardless of what you experience, keep on wishing all beings free from suffering. Treat everything else as a passing distraction. And then we add some insight. Now we're going to think of how to overcome this suffering, which is to shake off the clinging with impermanence. So we're going to label every sensation as rising and passing. Let's say the joy start to disappear, and instead of the equanimity from previously, this time round it should feel more blank. Call this the perception of infinite space. And regardless of what you experience, keep on labeling rising and passing. Treat everything else as passing distraction. Don't get lost in space. Okay, and now we're going to the third sublime state, which is appreciative joy. And now we're going to rejoice with all beings using the non-discrimination approach. Anytime any sensation appear, we gain a new experience. So when the sensation appear, we rejoice with all beings. In the condition are right, the appreciative joy may lead one to the third level of concentration, denoted by the emotion of happiness. And regardless of what you experience, keep on rejoicing with all beings. Treat everything else as a passing distraction. And then we're going to add some insight, some wisdom, and we're going to reflect that all beings will eventually be separated from what they have achieved. Likewise, all these sensations don't stay with us forever. So they keep coming and going all the time, so we just label rising and passing. If the joy starts to disappear instead of the blank experience from previously, this time around it should be the opposite, a sense of fullness, as though this sense of self has merged with the entire surroundings. So we call it the perception of infinite consciousness. And regardless of what you experience, keep on labeling rising and passing. Okay, and before we conclude the session, same gentle reminder in all activities, whether we're standing, sitting, walking, or lying down, we can be mindful of the sublime states or mindful of impermanence. And with that, we can gently open our eyes, formally end the session, informally generate right thought. Okay, any issues, questions? If there's no issues, then we proceed with the concluding chant. and dedicating our merits. Akasatha ca Bhumata Devanaga Mahidika Punyang tang anumoditva Cirang rakantu loka sasanam Etavata ca amhehi Sampadang punya sampadang Sabe deva sabe bhuta sabe sata anumodantu Sabba sampati siddhya. Dedication of merits to departed. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Aspiration. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo. Satang samagamo hotu yavani bana patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And we pay respects to the Buddha by bowing 3 times. First bow, second bow, third bow.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay, thank you. So again, advertisement for November's retreat. Yeah, 19 to 23rd November at Bentong. If anyone wants to go, can contact Susan. Her number is at the bottom right. And that's it. So the next lesson will be next year. That's the end of this year's class. Next year, January. So the first week of January, the Tuesday would be the private interview or Q&A session, no live stream. And the following week will be the lessons as usual. Huh? Okay, that's it. Good night.